Vitek here from Wani, and with us today we have one and only Fernando of MOONSPELL. How are you doing today?
Very great, very busy and a little bit stressed, but now I will wind up on this interview. Don't worry.
Right. You guys must be super pumped. Just another, couple of months left for the release of 1755. And, I've been listening to the record from past, week and a half. And every time I listen to it, there's a beauty. There's that unique blend of great musicality, splendid songwriting on this album. It clearly separates from what MOONSPELL has done in the past. Yet there are certain bits and pieces that takes me back into that, that entire discography you guys have. The phenomenal songwriting has always been there with MOONSPELL. What was the mindset this time for this record, keeping in mind that this has a very strong the history behind this date, this year, will never be forgotten. So what was the mindset the band had before entering the studio to write and record?
First and foremost, thanks for your very kind words. Time frame here was that I arrived with the concept, everybody picked it up. Musically, we talked about it, and we wanted to do something that was definitely heavier. There's an album about an earthquake. So for us, the natural disaster is the metal part. Let's call it this way. It's great to have this style that is very open and shouting and loud, because it really taps into the desperation all the violence that was the 1755 earthquake. On the other hand, we tried also to capture the spirit of 18th century Lisbon, and especially through music. And the kind of music that was existing there was either sacred music, and that's why we have all these vocal choirs all around the album, because that's what people actually listen on the masses and in the church, being Portugal was a Roman Catholic country, so they had a lot of ritual when it comes to sacred music. But our streets was something completely different, because nowadays, there's a big talk about integrating people, and it's a problem where to put people from other countries. And in Lisbon, back in 1755, they all lived together, they all died together. There was not only Portuguese people here, there was African people, there was Muslim people. They have always been in our country. There was people from all around the cities of Europe, from China, because Lisbon was that kind of city, just a city with a lot of activity, like a hub for many routes, like for silk, for spices. Still, we had that thing as a city. So we definitely wanted to capture that spirit, and also the orchestrations made by John Phipps. I think they had something really different. I think it really set the bar for different orchestrations, because it's like you say, we didn't want anything to be on the way of anything. We wanted 1755 to be an experience. So we took a lot of care that everything has its place, and has its spotlight, but that it's not like just a guitar or vocal-oriented album. It's a piece of music. It's a musical piece. Let's call it this way. That's how we try to interpret and to try to, even though it's a heavy metal record, it's a big responsibility, because if I'm not mistaken, it's the very first musical piece about such an important event on the Portuguese history. Unfortunately, there's nothing over here except books, some side documentaries, but nobody picked up this amazing subject, in my opinion, that I fell totally in love to work with. But we try to, let's say, we're not the kind of bands that made metal operas. That's a different thing. But I would say it's almost operatic. I wouldn't say the music, but when it comes to have a structure and a chronology and everything, it's an album that we will place it together with other albums or pieces of music that have worked specific historical events. Yeah,
I understand that. That's really wonderful, and it also speaks volumes of the exceptional manner in which you guys have evolved over the years. I mean, the delivery of those great melodic lines and the catchy musical illustrations. This is not something that is, easy to maintain throughout the career. And Moonspell has done it again. You've given a lot of importance to this history. You wanted to, be more honest and straightforward towards the subject and the music that surrounds it. So it's more like a journey for someone like me who's not aware of this incident, gets to read the lyrics, feel the vibe, and get the overall picture of it. So it's more like a journey, more like a movie soundtrack as compared to a full-fledged heavy metal record.
Well, I think that's exactly what we wanted, really, as a goal. Like I said, everything that comes from for 1755 will be very good for Moonspell because we consider it's an album that is probably, not your regular album, so it demands a little bit more, like the listen to be available, and maybe to search, just by looking to the title, what the hell do they want to mean with this? And then they go online or pick up some books and say, wow, there was a big earthquake in Lisbon. Let's see what these guys are talking about. I think it falls more into this category, really, of a journey, of a time travel. I think the thing we most dread in Moonspell is to become meat and potatoes. I think there's great meat and potatoes in the metal music, if you know what I mean. But I think our music has to have a more exotic flavor, definitely. We are from Portugal. We have 900 years of history. It's one of the oldest countries, actually, in Europe. It's quite of an unknown country, so we can fill in some gaps as well. And I mean, we've been always working in our music because the scene changes, a lot of stuff changes. The leading journalist is one year, and then it's another 1 year. But what doesn't change for the musicians? It's the ability of being creative and putting it on albums and have people following them. I think that's the best we have as musicians. Why a lot of people were criticizing us because we were not having enough and we were not making the album they wanted to. I think we were just minding our own business and evolving as musicians, and that's what we are here for, and that's what we take seriously. And I think that Extinct was already a proof that we have evolved a lot as a band in early days, which are magical, but will never come back to anyone. I'm sorry to break the news, but it is as it is. But on the other hand, we were definitely improving. I was improving as a singer, Ricardo was improving as a guitar player, Peter was improving as a songwriter. And because at the end of the day, we don't really have a tank or a Viking ship to put on stage, and I think that's great. And these bands do their music as well. We just have our music, and I think that's what has to speak to people. Sometimes it's not powerful enough because we live in a cynical industry, as you know, but when it does, it really does. Moonspell is a band for life. It always has been.
Right. That's really cool to hear. And one of the most memorable aspect of this album is how, again, your vocal delivery, you have incorporated on this album. Moments where there's a need for harsh vocals, you've done it. Moment then where clean is needed, elegant, the murmurs, everything is just the right places. And that's what I felt the same while listening to Extinct, that you put a lot of focus on where exactly your singing is going to be, and the same approach you've done over here, which works really well. Is that something you plan up while you listen to the songs, or is it something that just comes out of nowhere?
Well, it comes from different sides, really. I think first and foremost it's the mood. On Extinct, I had the mood of disappearing as a person, something like that, to do with my paternity, to do with the world, etc. And so I did something very to in a beautiful way. Sometimes for a metal singer it's really easy to go there and shout out how we need more fragility. All the singers can make it, and it's a process as well. For 1755, I definitely want to be punk, more metal, and because I had to set a mood as well. And my mood for this was to be a character, like a year called 1755. And I'm the guy that is walking through the ruins, talking with the dead, talking with the living, listening to their lamentations. Where are my families? Where is my God? Talking with God, with the devil. So I definitely need to have a kind of a special expression for this album, because it was in Portuguese. Also, that helps because it's my native language, even though I speak English. It's Portuguese. So I tried myself to mentalize myself very much into doing, what I do best, which is nothing but to express feelings, in my opinion. And also, the other guys are really good musicians. Ricardo is an absolutely brilliant guitar player, same Pedro, and I'm the singer. And to be in a band that it's not about the technique, but they are so involved in many ways, not just the technical, especially writers. I try also to be au pair with them, and I really have, do a very concise vocal approach, stuff that I can do, challenges that I can or not win. But I'm always trying to, I always have a very good picture in my mind of what I'm going to do. And the rest it's in the hands of the band and the producer. Some things they don't like, they want to change. But sometimes vocals go very smooth on the albums. So at least on this last few albums, they have gone really, really smooth. Obviously, it's a lot of work, but it's also great to work vocals. When I have the time, yeah, I'm not just reading or playing metal. I also, try to do something with my vocals in theory and practice, because they are. At the end of the day, they are my instrument as well, and they are used much more as a storytelling experience than another instrument in 1755. They don't stand so much. I think they are more a part of the whole thing.
Right. That's really cool to hear. And you will be taking this album on road with Cradle of Filth as well. So where else are you taking this record? I remember listening, watching you guys play Extinct, around 3 to 4 songs at Metal Hammer Paradise, and that's where it touched me that it's phenomenal how the album sounds live as compared to the record. And the same feeling I get here is because now that you got Orchestration left, I'm just thinking they're going to be some sort of a backing tracks for these orchestral parts and let the rest of the guys do what they actually did on the record.
Well, we always try to have a human approach. I mean, sometimes we have a good friend, band friends, Septic Flash, and we tooled a lot of them, and they rely a lot in the orchestrations, and sometimes they have this solo. Yeah, I love them as well. The solo orchestrated parts, and nobody's doing anything. So I thought, yeah, this can be a problem. So whatever we do with the human factor, of course, there will be backing tracks, but the least as possible. So Pedro, our keyboard player, has a lot of work, like he has on Extinct. He plays a lot of the parts as well. And we're trying our best to be obviously in shape or ready for the other tours, because we want to tour all around the world. It doesn't matter if it's a Portuguese album. We really want to take this experience to people, and people from abroad, they are reacting to it in an amazing way as well, I must say. And on the other hand, I think that we should do a visual show, and we're going to play small clubs, big festivals, everything. But we have to find a show that depends more on the band and on the kind of theatrics that the band can do. So we are trying to make something that really transports people, like the album, also to an year without electricity, with lamps, with stuff like that. So we're still putting the pieces together, but I think it will be also a great show to watch.
That's lovely, man. That'll match the vibe of the music as well. Obviously the visual aspect, the theatrical aspect always works for a band like Moonspell.
And live, it's the perfect opportunity. We always had this ambition of being visual. They had to do with the end of the 80s, beginning of the 90s, where all bands were making more visual music that you could actually see the landscapes, especially metal. Get transport. I remember when Battery did Armor Hearts. I felt completely. I was in a Viking village, and suffering there. Torment, with the Christian Takeover, etc. And I always love these albums. They are always have a special heart, definitely in my special place in my memory. So I think we always had this thing and always talked about it, And I think that to play it live is such a perfect opportunity, to make this more than just a dream for the band. And that's why I always try to invest a lot of the visual aspect, not just the lights, but also how the bands present itself. Because sometimes you have a lot of show, but the band is not there. So we try to have a balance between that.
Indeed, that's really great to hear. Fernando, I wish you good luck with the release. I'm sure this waiting game is going to continue for the next couple of weeks, but once it's out, and I'm sure fans are going to have a great time. I look forward to catch you guys on tour. So if you had to sum up the album in a sentence, what would you say?
This was a sentence that God-fearing philosophers said, and it went like this. But then I'll add something of mine. This album is like they said, whatever is right. So it means everything is a God's plan. But yet the earth shakes. That's the message of 1755. Not everything is alright.
Right. Superman, thank you so much for spending some time. Good luck with the release, and yeah, that would be great to catch you guys live soon.
Okay, talk soon. All the best.
Take care, buddy. Bye.
Bye-bye.